Hello and welcome back to the Shutter Sports Refresh. This is your weekly spot for all of the most important news in sports. I'm your host Finn Noel, and let's get right into it. We'll kick things off with some baseball, where we have now reached the conference series or the semifinals. Let's start in the National League. This was a matchup between last year's MLB champions, the LA Dodgers, and the best regular season team in the league this year in the Milwaukee Brewers. In Game 1, it was a masterclass from Dodgers pitcher Blake Snell. In 8 innings, he only threw 1 hit, and the Dodgers snuck in a 2-1 win. In Game 2, it wasn't as close, as another stellar performance from a Dodgers pitcher led the Dodgers to a 2-0 lead. And the Dodgers kept that momentum going. In Game 3, they took a 3-1 win to take a 3-0 series lead and put the Brewers on the brink of elimination. And in Game 4, the Dodgers' best player, Shohei Ohtani, showed up big time. Ohtani would end up striking out 10 batters and hitting 3 home runs in one of the greatest baseball performances of all time, and the Dodgers swept the series 4-0. Moving over to the American League, this series would be much closer between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners. Now, we left you off last week with the Mariners leading the series 1-0, and they would continue that momentum, leading the series 2-0 after a nice Game 2 win. The Jays would come alive in Games 3 and 4, however, hitting 21 home runs combined in both of those games and tied the series up at 2-2. And when a series is tied 2-2, the pressure is always on for that Game 5, and boy oh boy did this Game 5 deliver. The game was tied 2-2 in the 8th inning, and all pressure was on as Eugenio Suarez stepped up to the plate for the Mariners. He ended up hitting a grand slam home run to essentially seal the game for the Mariners, and they took the series lead at 3-2. Now, the Blue Jays weren't done yet. They ended up winning Game 6 to tie things up at 3-3. Now, Game 7 is likely being played as this video is released, so we'll have the results for you next week. The winner of this series will face the Dodgers in the MLB World Series. Let's move over to the NFL now and recap the Week 7 games. On Thursday Night Football, the LA Rams absolutely destroyed the Jacksonville Jaguars 35-7. Now, the Jaguars have been quite good this year, so we're not sure what happened there. All we know is that the Rams were very impressive. Now, the next big game in the week was between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Eagles have been struggling on offense as of late, but they came alive in this one, scoring 28 points in the game, and their quarterback Jalen Hurts had 300 yards. And the craziest game of the week was between the Denver Broncos and the New York Giants. Now, the Giants had won 2 games in a row coming into this game, and it looked like they were about to make it 3 in a row. But the Broncos surprised everyone, scoring 33 points in just 14 minutes to come back and win the game. What an absolute shock. This is one of the craziest comebacks of all time, down 30 plus points in the 4th quarter. Just ridiculous. Let's move over to college football now, where there was a lot of close matchups this week. Now, the biggest surprise this week was the lowly Vanderbilt taking down LSU. Vanderbilt isn't usually a football school, but they're 6-1 this year. Another crazy game was between the 6-0 Ole Miss and the 5-1 Georgia. Ole Miss was leading by 9 in the 4th quarter, but Georgia ended up storming into a comeback, scoring 3 touchdowns and winning the game. And the last big matchup was between Alabama and Tennessee. If you've been following the refresh in recent weeks, you'll know that Alabama has had a crazy tough schedule these last few weeks. Despite that though, they have been winning games, and they continued to win games this week, taking down Tennessee 37-20. Let's talk some basketball, as the NBA regular season is officially kicking off tomorrow. It's a big doubleheader. Firstly, the young Oklahoma City Thunder and the reigning champions, and the young Houston Rockets will be facing off. And then it's a matchup of old players with the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Golden State Warriors. What a night that will be. Make sure to tune into the refresh for more NBA news. Let's talk about some UFC. UFC 321 is going down this weekend. The main event in Dubai is Tom Aspinall defending his heavyweight championship belt for the first time against Cyril Gane. Tom Aspinall has been very hyped up in the UFC realm as of late, so it's going to be great to see him fighting again. Let's move on to some F1 now, as the United States Grand Prix went down in Austin this weekend. And the winner of this one was, for the 3rd time in 4 races, Red Bull's Max Verstappen. Verstappen is trying desperately to climb the driver standings before the end of the season. He's currently in 3rd place, and the 2 people he needs to pass are Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Unfortunately for Verstappen, Norris was right behind him in 2nd in this race, so Verstappen didn't climb that much in the standings. And in 3rd place in the Grand Prix was Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. There are only 5 races left in the season, so make sure to tune into the refresh to see what happens with those driver standings. Let's give a little recap in the NHL season, as we are now around 6 games in. The only undefeated team left in the NHL are the Carolina Hurricanes, sitting at 5-0 and the top of the Metropolitan Division. At the top of the Atlantic Division are the upstart Detroit Red Wings, who are 5-1 to the surprise of many NHL fans. In the Central Division, the leader is the Colorado Avalanche, who are also 5-1. And in the Pacific Division is the Vegas Golden Knights in first, who currently sit at 4 wins and 2 overtime losses. Make sure to tune back into the refresh next week for some more NHL updates. And for some soccer news, Champions League is starting back up this week, so again, come back next week to see what happens there. And that is it for this week's episode of the Shutter Sports Refresh. I've been your host, Finn Noel, and I hope you learned something today. You can check out me, Shutter Sports Media, and our writer, Lucky Roberts, out on Instagram right down here. Thanks for watching.